Hi everyone, the Mature Simmer here. So no, you are still in Farm Simulator. This is not Restaurant Simulator or Corporate Cafe Simulator or anything like that. This is still Farming Simulator. But this is a new map that was recently released that really caught my attention. Yarra Valley, Australia. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a map tour here. We'll see what we discover together. So I like to start my map tours with what the author has to say about it. So let's go through the description that they've provided. Before I start the map tour, just figured I'd walk outside so that we didn't have all the voices of the people in the restaurant in the background there. So Yarra Valley is a real valley based around the town of Yarra Glen, Victoria, Australia, on the banks of the winding Yarra River. The region is a popular tourist destination for its vineyards, golf courses, horse riding, unique chocolates, and a variety of cheeses. You will start out owning the Yarra Valley restaurant and grapevines ready for harvest, including all the grape machinery to start right away. You are also the greenskeeper for the 18-hole Yarra Valley golf course that needs to be mowed to ensure the tourists are happy. Yarra Valley map includes custom Yarra Hill restaurant, grape processing plant, custom dairy with cheddar cheese, Swiss cheese, blue cheese, and brie, 2 custom cow pastures next to the dairy, custom choclaterie with dark chocolate, white chocolate, chocolate-coated strawberries, and chocolate-coated honeycomb. Full 18-hole golf course including all the grass maintenance machinery. 3 full fields with grapevines ready to pick, including all the grape machinery. Start with horses to be exercised on the racing course and equestrian courses. Train line, grain elevator, BGA, sugar mill, bakery, carpentry, sawmill. 29 farmlands, 21 fields. So I would think just from the description, you're starting to understand why I thought this might be worth a look. Lots of things that are unique. Things I love, like custom productions, custom products, but just something built out entirely around a specific area of the world and a concept I think is really intriguing. And the fact that it sounds like they give you a good starting point so that you can begin in an effective way. This tour will probably have some unique points to it, given that there's some unique things that are operating here on this map, but let's see what we find. So we're here in the PDA, just to get an overview of the valley that we're looking at. I assume this is the aforementioned Yarra River that winds through the valley here. Not entirely sure where we have the golf course. We're here at this Yarra restaurant. So you can see that's where we're located. As it mentioned, there are 21 fields spread around throughout this map. There's a train coming in here. I think it talked about that as well. So if we look here at the starting fields, you can see we've got the Yarra restaurant is talked about, and so here is the golf course. Now it's pretty obvious because you can kind of see how things are laid out here. So down here in the corner, so we don't actually own any farm fields if you'd like to go that route and expand into that. Now once again, 29 farmlands as it mentioned, so we've got extra spaces here that we can own. So you can see this is 71 acres, 26 acres, so we own 100 acres, but none of it is farmland, other than, it did talk about grapes and a vineyard that's ready to go along with the equipment, so we're certainly going to need to take a look at that. All right, so this field down here, which is field 10, is the largest field on the map. You can see it's just 34.8 acres, so not a huge amount. So from looking around here, I'd say the fields appear to be what I would call dynamically priced to some degree. So this map maker has taken some time, and it may be as we start exploring the map that we start to see what is involved here. But as in any tourist destination, you're going to have high demand areas, interesting locations, and so forth. So you can see that the cost here, $844,000 or $77,000 per hectare. But if we go here, this field's 24 acres, so it's smaller. $145,000 a hectare, but instead of $77,000 per hectare, it's down to 17. But here, the field right next door is very close in the cost per hectare. So while it's significantly smaller, almost 20 acres smaller, so the price drops from 800 some thousand to 300, it's still very close to that 77,000 per hectare. And looking around at other areas, it's just a few of these fields that seem to kind of be specifically called out and, you know, priced a little differently. And it's really probably this one here, which is field 4, because this one I think is the most expensive, $102,000 per hectare. But a lot of the other ones are still running quite high, 98,000, 81,000 per hectare. So definitely some interesting pricing going on here, but more specifically here. Because initially I was thinking, oh, this one's really expensive because it's near the golf course, it's prime land. The golf course might want to expand at some point. You know, you've also got the river frontage. So it's possible what's really happening. Wow, this is $130,000 per hectare. I think that's the winner. It's possible the map maker made this field much more affordable in the valley to give you an opportunity to get a field and start producing, to then start getting some more cash options available to start expanding on the map if you'd like to do that. So let's go back to the PDA and let's just take a look at what we have as points of interest and sell points. So we've got the train line, which goes to Healesville. So typical rental location, I'm sure. So the sugar mill is here. Yarra Valley Choclaterie is there. We've got a Gulf Station Farm, part of Gulf Station Farm as well. Not sure what that means, but we'll take a look later. The carpentry, horse pasture. Here's our vehicle shop, fast food restaurant, gas station. Key thing, the gas station. I've seen so many maps that don't give you a place to purchase fuel, and then it requires that you place a custom fuel location, which is kind of frustrating because a thriving community would clearly have a way for farmers to fuel their vehicles. So wonderful to see that that's here. We've got the Yarra Glen Supermarket, a vehicle workshop, the Yarra Glen Bakery, a restaurant. All right, that's another rent train, a train silo, and a lime station. So that's good to know. There's the Yarra Golf Club, the Yarra Valley Dairy that we have heard so much about. There's our home, the restaurant, and grape processing are here on site where we're starting at. And then a biogas plant, a grain elevator, and another lime station. So I think that gets us around. So we've got a lime station here and here. So I'd say a couple good locations where, regardless of where you have your fields, you could be relatively close and nearby. All right, so let's go back here. So obviously we had the restaurant that we talked about. So I think this is our facility here. That is something of ours. Right, so this is our home. Pretty fancy home. I'm wondering if the spinning wheel has some significance to this area. I wonder if maybe it used to be a sheep farming area initially before it became touristy. So this building is saying it's the restaurant on the map. So obviously, you know, the restaurant proper is over here where we saw the seating area and so forth, but you know, that may be the facilities in the kitchen, and so therefore that's where they accept deliveries. Hi. Nice little deer running around there. So let's see what we've got here. Just a building of some sort. Got a nice parking lot down there, which is well done. Again, not specific to farming for sure, but it goes ahead and creates that realistic view for you of really being where they're telling you you are. Wow. Well, we're going to do this, but I wouldn't advise this without some sort of rappelling equipment. All right. So, yeah, that's up there. So, nice items strewn around the yard. A pallet jack here. Some pallets. Okay, I'm assuming these are ours. So there we go, owned by you. So we've got a Bachmann trailer here, a flatbed to move some things around. Ah. So it talked about a vineyard with equipment available to us. So, somewhere here, is that the grape processing facility? I'm not sure. We're kind of on it, but... Or no, it's actually up. It might be there. I'll have to find that later, but let's see. So we've got a John Deere 7810. The Welger trailer, that's pretty standard. Ah, nice little break room for us here back in the shed. Keeps us away from the weather. So we've got some herbicide. We've got some fertilizer. So there's definitely more thought put into the starting equipment, I would say. So we've got a fertilizer spreader there. Anything here? Just, okay, nothing unique there. Bigger tractor here, a John Deere 7R 270 Gen 2. We've got a forklift and I'm not sure. Oh, grape. This would be a grape cart. I don't know. I call them grape carts. I might be wrong as to what they technically are. And then we've got the grape harvester, the pruner. This is something I've learned recently, the front and back. So I'm glad to see that they've done that. One of the farms that I am working in Farmers Only Club is a farmhand. He's got that set up, saves so much time. And then this is the sprayer. And then we've got some more herbicide here. So, terrific stuff. Alright, so... Now the interesting thing, alright, so this is the grape processing unit. Let's just take a look and see. Alright. So grape juice 1:1, or I'm sorry, raisins 1:1, and then grape juice. So this looks like just a standard grape processing facility. Nothing unique. Alright, well, I don't know where our vineyard is. So that's the confusing part. It might be north of the farm. Alright, so if I take a look here, again, we've got... Okay, so there's a Landini somewhere we haven't discovered. We've also got a Fendt that we haven't discovered. We've got the grape. These are the mowers that I'm sure are on the golf course. We already have a pickup. That's wonderful. So they give you that. And then we have tedders and a tedder and a baler. So we'd be baling up hay to maybe use for the horses or things like that. So yeah, so there's other equipment around here somewhere that we haven't seen yet. Let's see. Alright, that's just pipes back here. But no, I do like the fact that they really fleshed out the area. I mean, you've got stuff laying around. They've even got like curbing here, like if we wanted to go work in the parking lot and put some new curbs up. They're hidden down here behind the shed. We could take our forklift and lay some more things down. So just really well thought out. I mean, to the point they've got dumpsters over here ready to go, really in a location. You know, some barrels off here on the side. So this really feels like a lived-in map. I do like those features, absolutely. So if we go ahead and go in here to the crop calendar, almost say this is absolutely a custom crop calendar. I don't know that it specifically mentions that. It's very interesting here, however, though, that grapes, very small window for going ahead and working through that. Looks like you can do olives. No crops here that are kind of standard to the game that are not available to you. Just a interesting calendar, and that most of the planting is taking place here in the fall. So as opposed to this calendar also starting, so silly me, we're in Australia. The seasons are reversed from what I'm used to, so this isn't a unique crop calendar. It's just unique to me. So this is spring. I looked at these indicators on top. So yes, you are planting in the early spring. You're harvesting in the fall. I'm just looking at the names of the months saying, this is different. It's not. It's just the southern hemisphere. Silly me. Alright, so I think at this point, it's probably going to be best to just go around and see what we have. Oh, look at that. Where'd he come from? Oh, there's a road that goes around, I see. Or do they spawn from there? Because suddenly there were cars. Or do they just go around the parking lot? Now I'm curious. Oh, now it's not going to show me. Alright, so yeah, so they come in and they drive around the parking lot. Yeah, there's a van coming in. So nice. A little bit of lively traffic. It's a 2017 pickup truck. It's not that old, but wow, it sounds like it might need a muffler. It's definitely running a little rougher than I would expect. So we'll kind of start on the driving tour. I think we've solved our mystery. There are our vineyards, or our vines in our vineyard. We just didn't realize where they were. Alright, actually looking at the map, we're looking this way. These are not ours. Our vineyard is behind us here. So we do have one of the fields, so I'm incorrect in saying I didn't have any fields. But obviously we have grapes. We'll hop over here just to take a peek. But this is... well, it's not showing anything owned by anybody. One of the things, yes, that it made me check is, are there contracts on the map? There are, in fact, contracts. So that's another way you could potentially make some money. You know, and you do start out with a typical 100,000. I haven't done anything to make any changes yet. But, yeah, this could be a really interesting map. Now, obviously driving on the other side of the road here, so similar to a British map. Gotta keep that in mind, but that's nice to see that they have that set up that way. Alright, so I'm gonna go this way to check out our vineyard first. Alright, so this is field 12. This is that super expensive 130,000 per hectare. I don't see anything special about it other than it's in the Central Valley, but alright, there is our vineyard, and I will say, I'm going to pull off here. It's good to have a pickup. I assume this has some four-wheel drive. But that is just glorious. That hill, I say that now, but I'm just wondering if working it would be crazy difficult. So this isn't like another field or another crop where it's giving me any info and telling me it's mine, but this is ours. So this is a good sized vineyard. I mean, this is not a small field by any stretch. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn around and I'm going to head back south, and we're going to go to the golf course, which is obviously the other thing that we are in charge of. So let's take a look and kind of keep the starting farm tour together. It's just there's two distinctive type of starting farms on this map, and that you've got the restaurant and the vineyard here along with... Oy, 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 oy. Alright, after running into folks, we're here. I'm thinking my steering wheel control might not quite be set up the same way. So that is not a golf course, that's just a lake. I like the brown water. I'm sure that's ground texture. So I think we've got to go off to the right here. There's a lot of traffic. Alright, so there's the train tracks. So this is where we get one of the train areas. Wow, I can't steer well with this, so I apologize. It may take a bit. Alright, so I'm thinking this is the golf course. I know this is the golf course, but it's a question of, you know, what exactly do we have here? So let's turn off our truck. Looks like we got some signs. So there you go. The Yarra Valley Golf Course. This is nice. I mean, just the time it took to throw something together again that has literally nothing to do with farming other than just the concept of what you have going on. But yeah, I can see why they're talking about wow, this poor lady is looking really sad. Look how slow she's walking. I mean, everybody else is much faster. Maybe she's just sad about the state of the golf course because, yeah, these are not what you'd call fairways. I think this would even exceed heavy rough. Like, see, this man is marching with a purpose, but that woman, I think someone should talk to her. I'm not quite sure what happened. But clearly, there's stuff going on. But there you go. There's the first. I think this is the first hole. I didn't actually see. I didn't pay attention to my course layout enough. But I'm assuming here is where we're going to have our mower. So we've got a shed here. So let's see what we've got. All right. So there's our fent, our tedder. Our baler, our bale pickup, and then our mower. So somewhere this Landini tractor is hiding. I need to find that at some point. But decent spread of equipment here, that's for sure. Like, is this not ours? Oh, it's rented by you. Interesting. All right, so there's a bale loader that's rented by us. So that's clearly something you need to pay attention to because I assume that will then pull income every month from you as well. So there you go. You start out with a rented piece of equipment, which is something I've not seen before either. So here we go. We've got a little play area for the children. What do they got planted here? So, sugar beets. Oh, that ought to be fun. But, you know, they'll harvest those at some point. And then bicycles. Gotta be careful. The cars are doing their thing. A lot of the cars here seem to like to park with wheelies. Maybe that's something unique to Australia that I'm not aware of, like the crop calendar too. But, yeah, let's take a look here. So, yeah, I would think that would be the first hole that I was on. I'm not really sure, but that seems to be right. You know, and as it said, you need to mow the golf course. I'm assuming there's no dynamic that happens there, but who knows? Oh, that poor woman. All right, so as far as sell points, let's just do that quickly. So clearly, obviously, grapes, we have a lot of options because this is a big area, but I always like to see, do you have at least a couple points so that you can make choices? And it looks like there is. There is no selling point for cotton. Eggs is good. No selling point for wool. So even though that spinning wheel may have indicated sheep, don't have any here unless you do something different with it. All right, so just looking through the productions. So some things like fabric and clothes can only be sold to the supermarket, which makes sense. But again, if you have wool, then you could go ahead and put in a spinnery and so forth and do those things. Looks like all the oil, anything else that shows up that we don't need. Yeah, these wouldn't be normal sell items. Alright, and here we then have the unique items to the map. So cheddar cheese, blue cheese, Swiss cheese, brie cheese. So the restaurant, they don't use cheddar cheese, clearly, because all the other cheeses they're all about, but clearly cheddar is just too boring for them. So there's a little bit of putting on airs there, obviously. Similarly to chocolate-coated strawberries, chocolate-coated honeycomb, the restaurant wants. But if you want just chocolate bars, you've got to sell those to the golf club. All right, so with regards to the horses, you've got 4 horses that you have that you need to exercise and so forth, as I talked about. I'm not as familiar with horses, so this would definitely be an opportunity for me to learn about them if I played this map and kind of stuck with what they had. I'm assuming horses are normally worth more than $120, but these all look like newborns. They're all 0 months, but they're also not in great shape. They don't have any food or anything, so if you play this map, I assume that's something you're going to want to do pretty quickly. Alright, so before we drive around, I'm going to go ahead and do the flight tour just to kind of get an overview of the valley, see where we're at here. So there is the river. Golf course goes up to there. So this is the map edge. So it blends nicely, but obviously you do want to be careful if you're anywhere near the edge. Thing is, I think the way the map is designed, it doesn't really matter, because I don't think you're going to have fields that you're in danger of falling apart on. So this is the train silo. Oh, look at that. They've got a roundabout and traffic going pretty well. It's like city skylines where things don't always line up and so forth, so kind of funny. But, alright, potatoes. Lots of root crops going on here. Alright, so this is kind of obviously the town. Lots of sell points here below us, you can see. So I know that, like, the carpentry, things like that were here. So again, now we're going up. Now, see, this is the map edge, but they've got, like, trees along the border, which is good, so that it'll separate things out. Not sure if this is the horse farm. There's more parking over here. Ah, there's the horse farm and racetrack and so forth. It'd be a challenging track to run around. It's not really well, not symmetrical, but it could be interesting. Alright, so we've got some fields here. So once again, I think this is just a standard size map. I would not call this a 4X map or anything like that, certainly. But I think the uniqueness certainly, creates some dynamics. So here's our starting point, the restaurant and so forth. There's the vineyard rolling down to the river. That is very canyony on the river. This could be a dangerous field coming up to that corner. Just fall off the cliff and go into the water. Looks like more grapes over here, but nobody's theoretically owning them, but this was an area you could buy. So that was one of the farmlands that were available. And then this is the BGA facility and all of that in the corner of the map, and the grain mill. So kind of tucked away here. We'll take a look at all these things on the driving tour. So You've got a bridge here to get to the fields or get to this area, but obviously this is really more of a little wild space. I think this was Farmland 24, and I'm forgetting what was up here. So we've got a couple of the productions up here that you would work with. I think this is the dairy that makes the cheese, but we'll take a look at things as we drive around. So let's go do that. So yeah, the biggest challenge here now will be to kind of make sure we cover everything that's unique to the map. So we'll go along here. You know, and a little bit of challenges. Obviously, you may have seen that car sink in. You can see those cars going into the roadway. With the terrain, now he was floating for a bit. We don't seem to do that. It seems to work a little bit better. So some of the tracks for the AI maybe are a little, you know, not perfect. But once again, when you've got something that I will call this ambitious, you know, I'm willing to forego some of the details. Now, you know, and again, like, because I assume these have collisions. Let me see here. No, they don't, so maybe it's okay. I guess, given that you have fences along the road, I would not have those fences sticking out here. I get what they were trying to do. They're trying to show that you're going into the roadway, but it just doesn't feel right. It seems odd, which is what got my hesitation to begin with. Alright, so at this point, so we can see the recipes and things like that, you know, we're going to purchase some things that we normally wouldn't and so forth, but just to give the full tour, make sure we have everything available to us. Alright, so the dairy is 50,000. Now if I go to productions, we have the standard butter, 15 to 13, I think is normal. I think cheese being 3 to 2 is normal, but then you have cheddar cheese, so 3 creates 12. Okay, so they're literally all the same recipe. The only difference is the speed. So you can see cheddar cheese is 1,680 cycles per month, blue cheese a little bit slower, Swiss cheese the same, and brie significantly faster. So either this person really likes brie, or I don't know how cheese is made, and maybe brie truly is faster. All of the cheeses, however, notably, are faster than standard cheese, but also far, far more productive. Again, 3 to 12 cheese instead of 3 to a smaller amount of cheese like the standard. Alright, so they talk about a custom cow pasture next to the dairy. I'm not quite sure. I assume maybe it's these. I don't see any triggers or anything there, so other than them being designed and laid out to look like cow pastures, because those look like feeding troughs and so forth, there's no functionality that I can see on the cow pastures. So we're going to continue this way. We're basically heading toward the biogas plant and so forth that's there, but just so we can really see it. Since this is a small map and a unique map, I don't normally drive the majority of the map, but I may do that here just because of the terrain and so forth. And I apologize for the jerkiness, but for whatever reason, the steering wheel is just super sensitive. I'm moving a fraction of an inch to get any kind of motion. So yeah, this is our grain mill. Now again, I don't think there's anything unique to the grain mill, so we're not going to worry about that, because it's the choclaterie that we need to look at for the other recipe. I do like the fact that he's got traffic kind of going everywhere. I mean, that can get irritating if you're trying to work around them, because clearly these folks are flying around right now. But it again gives a little bit more life to the map. Alright, so the challenge, however, to getting around anywhere is, I do like the fact that there's boulders across the road to kind of keep you from falling off down at the map edge there. The roadway network is a little bit sparse, so like if you're doing anything with the grain mill or the BGA here, like you're going that way, like you've got roads here that take you into the fields, but then because you have the river spanning the valley, there's not really a way across the river to the other side without coming all the way over here. Now once again, I'm pretty sure this is a 1x map. It's not like it's obviously taking us that long to get over here. So this is the road we came down, go over the train tracks to get to the golf course. So you kind of have the concept there. Now we'll head back up this way, and then we'll get to the other side. So you know, we're not going to go everywhere, but we're going to, so you can see the hills over there. Let me just make sure. So we're here. Yeah, there's really, okay, that's the sawmill. So we've got to get across the river to see any of that. So maybe we'll go down just so we can see it. But then basically everything's along this road. So yeah, we just kind of want to go through. So pretty nice trestle and all that with the bridge. I do think that's a unique touch as well, to kind of go through and do all that work. Maybe there's some prefabs that I'm not aware of that make that simple, but I'm thinking that might have been something the map maker had to work on. The other thing I do like, because I've talked about this even on maps that I play in Farmers Only Club, like Poppenberger, where the trees just feel like they're just in rows and planted. Like, this looks like an environment, even on the surrounding hillsides, that is a bit unique and more natural. So I'm just not used to going this way. Alright, so that's the train silo. So if you're going to ship anything via train, you'll do that there, and then you know, that's, I think, the lime station that is centrally located. So we're heading to the sawmill. So these are the fields that were on the hillside. The one we looked at that I think was 102, that wheat field there, 102,000 per hectare. Alright, so here's the sawmill. I think it's the standard sawmill, nothing terribly unique about it other than just a really beautiful location, that's for sure, kind of up, overlooking not just the river but the whole valley. So, silo, okay, Favaro Sud, so I think that's just picked off one of the maps, maybe, I don't remember, but I'm wondering if that's like off Oberon, given the French. Alright, and then we want to go up this way. So we're going to hit the town, we're going to hit the horse track, so I'm going to want to take a look at that. Alright, so that is a restaurant, I believe, San Giovanni. A couple other things. So I think if we go in here, alright, that's the farmer's market. So let's see. So we've got that. I'm going to try to figure out, let's see. See, like, I don't know that those barrels are there as part of the layout normally. Like, they definitely gave some thought into just laying things out and putting little touches in here and there to make it seem real. So, hotel, central, fuel station. So that's great. And it's all blended in quite nicely how they all run together here. So I'm thinking this may be the way to the horse farm. Let's see what we've got here. No, that's just symbols. I thought it was a sign of something. I mean, it is a sign, but it just doesn't have words on it. Alright, so this takes us down here. Parking area that we saw when we were flying around, a big seating area out here. So they've taken the baseball stadium and repurposed it. But what I'm looking for is, where are the horses? Alright, so you've got like a show jumping area here in the center. Probably a little bit unique, but they do also have kind of the path mode out, which is nice. Alright, so we got a big shed. Aha! There they are. So you've got water, this and that, but we've got our horses. So again, I've never done horses. Clearly I am taking him up on the fence. I don't know that I need to, I'm assuming I need to open the gate or something. I don't know. Yeah, he's not gonna get out otherwise. So let me do that. Alright, so now we're on Romeo. So let's see. I see. So I just keep hitting W, and then they can go faster. Now again, how do we get... Alright, so walk is a little faster, trot. Like, can I get on the track? There should be a way. Can I just... Okay. So you can just do that. So that's pretty nice. So let's see. Alright. So that's the full gallop. So there was an opening there, I think. Let me get rid of that menu. This is strangely fun. I've never had the horses in the game, but I guess if this is how they work, I could exercise them for a while. I thought you'd like have to keep pressing more buttons, but the horse just keeps running. And even though the track was, again, a little oddly shaped from the air, it's wide enough that I don't feel any challenge, never having even operated horses. I know that's a weird term, but in essence, it's like operating a vehicle. Yeah, but it's definitely a unique environment. Okay, so yeah, you can basically bring them in there, and kind of like a paddock area and so forth that you'd have. So I grew up near a pretty major horse racing track, so I know a little bit about it. I, you know, certainly bet on horse races and so forth. But yeah, pretty nice. So I'm gonna head back out. So there we go. So you've got your racetrack and your horses that you can exercise and work through. But, you know, definitely a creative design. Some different things to do and different ways to do them, because obviously, again, there's horses in the game, but rather than just having a pasture, just having a track you can run around and so forth, and kind of more of a different purpose is certainly interesting. Alright, so I'm assuming this is the animal dealer, if you wanted to buy any animals. And then I think the choclaterie, I don't know if I'm saying that right, is up here on the hill. So that will be our final stop. But just a different map, a different concept, that's for sure. You know, I can't say it's the prettiest map I've seen. It certainly is not. You know, it's you know, kind of sparse in certain areas, but it has things set up where it needs to. So I think this is the choclaterie. It'll be nice and not run these people over. Yarra Valley Choclaterie, 70,000. So now we can see how the chocolate recipes work. Again, I'm thinking these are somewhat similar. So, alright, it's milk and sugar for regular chocolate, butter and sugar for dark chocolate, which is fine, because otherwise you'd need some strange things. So both milk and butter and sugar. Same production rate. It's just obviously you're dealing with 3 inputs here instead of 2. So like white chocolate's going to be more challenging to produce. And so basically, alright, milk, sugar, honey, milk, sugar, strawberries for the chocolate coated items. So my question that comes to mind right now, so the different types of chocolate are no different. So back here at the restaurant, but what I was saying is the different types of chocolate, even though they're more challenging to produce, they don't have a dynamic that they are worth more, which would probably be somewhat realistic too. It's not as if buying a white chocolate bar costs twice as much as a milk chocolate bar. I mean, they're similar in price. So, all right. So here we can walk down a little bit. So the other thing that I want to look at, because people are curious sometimes on the map, is can you sell the buildings and things that are here? So you can pick the grape processing plant. You're not able to sell that. Doesn't look like this. Any of this is sellable. Nor are the sheds. Okay, I can't sell the horse pasture either. Can rename it. Nothing else by the track. Can't sell your house or the restaurant. Can't pick the golf club. Alright, so the small garage here on the golf course seems to be it. Beyond that, nothing else that you get with your starting farm appears to be able to be sold. Alright, so the last thing I do is normally, does the map work with Courseplay? I'm going to do that, but let's keep in mind, this may not be a map that's really your target, but just to kind of be complete and make sure that if you want to go ahead and do that and start owning some fields, that you know what the situation is. There are some unique shaped fields here, for example. Alright, so if I pick, say, field 10, alright, it does the border correctly. And then if I generate, say, with 3 headlands, that looks like it works well. Even on that what I would call one of the more challenging fields, because it's small, it seems to be fine. And anything with an odd shape there looks pretty good. So yes, as I pick around here, I think they've done a great job in just making sure that all the fields map correctly. You know, again, you'd have to draw custom fields and so forth on some of these if you own them, but that's the normal Courseplay situation. So yes, I just did the uniquely shaped field, but it looks like it would do great. So yes, I think Courseplay works fine here, but you can see kind of the ridiculousness of a harvester of normal size here. Like, there's almost nowhere to store it. But once again, obviously, if you decided you were farming these fields and you owned them, you know, maybe you'd put something else around. I mean, because this would certainly be a nice field for the restaurant to own and just go down here and work it. You know, and 11 acres isn't that incredibly huge, but this is the inexpensive field. You can see it's 31,000 per acre. Or wait, I'm wrong. This is the more expensive one. This is actually the cheap field over here on the other side. So yeah, 7,000 per acre. So this is the one that they kind of have set up that would be easy for you to own. You know, it'd be a little challenging to get some of the equipment down here, but you could do it. You know, you'd have to run down near the edge of the field. It's not like the fence runs down and you have some challenges. but for 145,000, so you could, maybe do some work on the grapes and things like that. Save up enough money if you started with new farmer mode. So finally, last thing on my tour is just kind of my personal opinion. Would I play the map? I think there's enough uniqueness here that it's intriguing to me. Definitely, if you've been following my single player series, I'm kind of in that decision point of how long do you run a single player series before you change to a different map. How long are people interested in the channel and so forth. So I'm definitely trying to be aware that I'm more in that mindset of, yeah, I'd like to. There's some weird texturing going on that hill there. You can see these two things, they kind of go in and out there as we walk, but again, I'm sure designing a map has its challenges, and if there's a few little things like that, I don't know that it matters that much. This is really, to me, again, this shows the attention to detail. I would think this is kind of like a pumping thing where they're getting water out of this for something, and they actually went ahead and put that facility here in this pond. That is just... So there's little things like that that just are I think they've done a great amount of attention to detail where they really didn't need to do things. So while, you could probably have your complaints about, what are these vines doing on this cliff, and why does it look like that, and why does it look so weird, and even this building, just how giant it is, and this looks like a door, I assume. Oh, it does open. Oh, interesting. What is this? Oh, this is our grape processing facility. Well, darn, I'm glad I went and came here. Alright. It's still a large thing underneath, but... Oh, and can you see it from up above? I see. So if you walk over here, you can look down. I just had to go explore. But wow, yeah. Just definitely got some unique features here, for certain. So, but it's one of those that I would definitely look at. I like how you get the view here. It does keep me from walking off and jumping to my death, but so that's nice too. But yeah, this is something I'd probably give a try. There'd just be things that would be challenging, which I think is part of the fun if you play Farming Simulator for a while, is getting outside the comfort zone of, hey, I understand how everything works, I understand how everything's going to go. Just something as simple as the crop calendar that threw me for a loop at the beginning of this map tour, like, wait, they've shifted everything. Well, yeah, because this is a different part of the world. So just operating in that mode of realizing that planting is going to take place in September and October instead of harvesting, and vice versa. So, like right now, I'd be looking at the map and saying, oh, in a month or two I need to plant. But that's not right, because it's summer, which is why there's a big sun there right now. So this is growing season. We're getting close to harvest time, which is why all those fields are out there with canola and wheat and whatever ready to go. But this is definitely something interesting, and I like the fact that you've got the custom productions. I like the fact that they've done a really good job, I think, with the starting equipment. I would say this is probably one of the best starting equipment layouts I've seen, including even giving you some supply, so that you're not immediately having to just delve into your funds. Like you could just start working that grape field as it sits and be in pretty good shape. So hopefully this has given you a flavor to see if this is something you want to look at. Again, it's a small map. It's not a 4X map. I know that's all the rage lately now that Farming Simulator's been out for a while. People aren't too excited about small maps, but I think this works well. And compared to something like Riverview that I'm on for the VIP series, where it seems like it's just a huge challenge to just drive to things and sell things, I think it's an easier map to get around, so you could just really focus on working. I guess if there was anything I was to say that would be a con, but once again, this is based on a real area, so this may be how it works, is just these field areas, you know, they're all very square for the most part. There's less uniqueness than other maps you can get, but this may be how the valley is laid out, where they're just trying to use as much space as they can, and therefore you're going to every corner. So like field 3 that we're looking over right now, you know, they've got that odd shape because they want to harvest every little bit they can, which makes sense given the cost of land here and how exorbitantly high it is. So, but definitely would give you a lot of things to try. So hopefully that gave you enough of a feeling and you can make a decision if this is for you or not. And I will see you next time.